She was accused of what she didn't do. The humiliated immigrant saw the truth triumph. But what happened that Tuesday morning would forever change the life of Sofia Morales and everyone who worked on the luxurious Richardson mansion. My diamond necklace has disappeared, and you were the last person to clean my room. Mrs. Richardson's shrill voice echoed through the marble hall, while pointing an accusing finger at Sofia, who still held the cleaning cloth in her trembling hands. Sofia Morales, 34, had arrived in the country 5 years earlier with just one suitcase and the dream of building a better life for her daughter Isabella. He worked as a maid for wealthy families, saving every penny to bring the girl she had left with her grandmother in Mexico. He never imagined that his 3-year honesty and dedication at Richardson's house would end with a devastating prosecution of theft. Mrs. Richardson, I swear to Dios that I never touched her jewelry, Sofia responded with her embargoed voice, her hands still shaking. I clean your home with respect for 3 years. Respect? He laughed bitterly, the boss, his iced blue eyes going from Sofia from top to bottom. People like you don't know what respect is. You have probably sold to send money to your relatives in Mexico. Mr. Richardson, sitting on his Italian leather armchair, didn't even raise his eyes from the newspaper. Call the police, Margaret. It's better to give an example before other domestic people think they can steal in this house. Sofia felt the world collapse around her. Without regularized documentation, a criminal accusation would mean immediate deportation and the end of the dream of gathering your family. The other maids observed silently, relieved that they were not in her place, but clearly bothered by the cruelty of the situation. Do you really think a woman who works 60 hours a week to support her family steal a necklace? Sofia asked, her voice gaining an unexpected firmness. You have known me 3 years ago. Have you ever seen a napkin out of place after I clean? Mrs. Richardson crossed her arms, annoyed by the answer. Don't come to me with draminha. Desperate people do anything for money, and you are clearly desperate. At that moment, something changed in Sofia's eyes. During the 3 years working there, he had observed much more than his bosses imagined. His calloused hands not only cleaned the house perfectly, his attentive ears captured whispered conversations on the phone, his eyes noticed open drawers in rooms that should be empty, and his sharp mind kept information on strange meetings and night visits that could once be valuable. I'm going to taste my innocence, said Sofia with an unexpected calm, straightening her shoulders. And when I prove, you will find that you completely underestimated the wrong person. Mrs. Richardson laughed sincerely. Prove whatever you want, honey. A word of yours against ours. In 15 minutes, the police will be here, and tomorrow you will be on the first flight back where it came. Maybe, Sofia replied, her dark eyes now shining with a determination that made Mr. Richardson finally raise the head of the newspaper. But 3 years watching you taught me a lot about how rich people hide your secrets, and I have an excellent memory. The phone rang shroud on the hall. Mrs. Richardson answered impatiently. Hello? Yes, it's herself. What? His face paled visibly. Are you sure? But this is impossible. Sofia watched the scene with a tranquility that contrasted dramatically with the growing panic on the face of her employer, because contrary to what everyone thought, that call was not a surprise to her. During her cleaning nights when the house was silent and the Richardsons slept, Sofia had discovered much more than a lost necklace. He had discovered a secret that would be worth much more than any jewelry. While waiting for the officers to arrive, Sofia remained silent in the center of the room, but her eyes revealed a serenity that only exists in those who have faced much worse storms and knew exactly how to survive them. There, in the face of all the eyes of contempt, he remained firm as one who holds too powerful secret to be revealed before the right time. If you have been unfairly accused of something you have not done, then you know the truth has a devastating force when it finally comes up. Subscribe to the channel to find out how a simple domestic has turned her humiliation into the worst nightmare of those who tried to destroy her. Police arrived at 15 minutes as planned by Mrs. Richardson. Officer Martinez, an experienced middle-aged man, entered the mansion with his younger partner, Official Thompson. Both already knew that address well, called domestic emergencies. They were common in the rich houses when expensive objects disappeared. So, what's the situation? Martinez asked, taking off his notebook as he watched Sofia stopped in the center of the room, still holding the cleaning cloth. This woman stole my diamond necklace, said Mrs. Richardson, pointing dramatically to Sofia. Valley $50,000 and disappeared after she cleared my room. It's obviously she was. Sofia remained silent, but her eyes found those of Officer Martinez. There was something in his posture that did not match the image of a desperate criminal, a serenity he rarely saw in truly guilty people. Madam, we need to review your bag and ask some questions, said Martinez with a professional tone. Is there a problem with that? No problem, said Sofia calmly, delivering her simple bag. You can look for where you want." While the police examined their belongings, some changed, an old phone and a worn-out of a smiling girl, Mrs. Richardson walked around the room like an actress on stage, dramatizing her indignation to the small audience. "You don't understand," she continued. "People like her come here pretending to be honest, gaining our confidence, and then steals us. It's always the same story." Mr. Richardson finally got up from the armchair, adjusting the gold clock on his wrist. "Official, we have an important meeting in an hour. Can you accelerate this? Evidence is clear. She was the only person in the room today." Sophia observed that staging with growing interest. For 3 years he had noticed how the Richardson reacted under pressure, and now, seeing them interacting with the police, confirmed suspicions he had kept for months. "How long have you been working here?" asked Officer Thompson. 3 years, said Sophia. "There has never been any problems before. Never has disappeared." "Well, there is always a first time," laughed at Mrs. Richardson. "And desperate people do desperate things." It was then that something unexpected happened. The mansion phone rang again, and this time Mr. Richardson answered in person. His expression changed dramatically during the conversation. "What is it, sure? But I understand. Thanks for calling." When they hung up, the couple exchanged a tension-loaded look that did not go unnoticed by Sophia. She had witnessed this kind of exchange of glances before, always preceding whispered discussions and drawers being hurriedly opened. "Any problem?" asked Officer Martinez, noting the change of atmosphere. No, just business issues," stammered Mr. Richardson, but his previous trust had completely evaporated. Sophia allowed an almost imperceptible smile, because, unlike everyone thought, she knew exactly what was on the other side of that connection. "And I also knew that the next 15 minutes would be very different from what the Richardson imagined." During her 3 years of silent work, Sophia had developed a skill that her bosses never suspected. She listened, and in a house where powerful people do questionable business, a listening household can discover secrets that are worth much more than any diamond necklace. "Officers," said Sophia finally, her voice carrying an authority that made everyone turn to her. "Before you take me, can I ask Mr. and Mrs. Richardson?" The couple had nervously. "What kind of question?" asked Mrs. Richardson, her previous arrogance replaced by visible caution. "A very simple question," Sophia answered, her eyes now shining with a determination that completely transformed the dynamics of the room. "What you do when you think no one is listening." The silence that followed was deafening. Mrs. Richardson opened her mouth to speak, but no word came out. Mr. Richardson began to sweat visibly, his trembling hand seeking support in the leather armchair. "What are you talking about?" he managed to murmur. Mrs. Richardson, but her voice had lost all the previous authority. "I'm talking about dawn conversations," Sophia continued, every word calculated for maximum impact. "Of the secret office meetings, of the envelopes you hide in the safe behind the fake Van Gogh painting." Officer Martinez frowned. "Madam, what kind of activities are you talking about?" Sophia smiled for the first time since the whole situation had begun. "I'm talking about money laundering, official, fiscal dropout, fake contracts with companies that don't even exist, and how a simple domestic can document all this when you have time, patience, and a smartphone with good memory." The Richardson world collapsed in exactly 15 seconds, and Sophia had not even started showing her true letters. Every whispered word, every door it has ranged from Madrug Ada, every telephone conversation in languages that thought she didn't understand. Everything was about to surface in a way that would destroy much more than the reputation of a simple domestic. While the police absorbed Sophia's bombastic revelations, she walked calmly to the bookcase. Its fingers found a specific volume, Don Quixote, and opening it revealed a secret compartment containing a small digital recorder and a smartphone. "For 3 years you spoke in front of me as if I were invisible," Sophia said, connecting the recorder to her cell phone. "As if a Mexican domestic could not understand English, Portuguese, or German. Great mistake." Mrs. Richardson's face had become gray as the ashes of the fireplace. Did you record us?" "I recorded telephone conversations at 3 in the morning about Cayman Islands bank transfers," Sophia continued methodically. "I occulted meetings with Mr. Volkov where you discussed how to launder arms trafficking through the art import company." Mr. Richardson tried to get up, but his legs failed. This is illegal. Recording without consent, not when it is in self-defense," intervened the Officer Martinez, who had already drawn his radio, "especially when it involves federal crimes." Sophia smiled sadly. "Do you think a woman who cleanses houses for $15 per hour doesn't know how to use technology? Who doesn't understand when she sees envelopes full of money being hidden behind fake paintings?" It was then that she revealed the first devastating secret. Mr. Richardson, do you remember last Thursday's conversation with your Russian investors, when you said your wife didn't know about the blood diamonds you are smuggling through the sculptures? Mrs. Richardson turned to her husband with a pure horror expression. Harold, what is she talking about? What diamonds? Margaret, I can explain, he stammered Mr. Richardson, but Sophia was not over. I can explain myself, Mrs. Richardson, said Sophia, playing play on the recorder. Mr. Richardson's unmistakable voice echoed through the room. Margaret can never know about Angola. If she finds out where real money comes from, she will want divorce and half of all. The silence that followed was interrupted only by the sound of Officer Thompson talking on the radio. We need a FBI team here immediately. Possible money laundering operation and international smuggling. Sophia had spent 6 months meticulously planning every detail, not only by collecting evidence but studying the dynamics of the couple Richardson, learning their schedules, identifying their weaknesses, and especially finding out what kind of people they really were when they thought no one was watching. Mrs. Richardson, Sophia continued relentlessly, do you remember when you said people like me don't know about respect? Let me show you what really is respect. She played a second recording. This time, it was the voice of Mrs. Richardson. These Mexicans are all the same, useful for dirty work, but you can never trust them near valuable things. It's their nature to steal. Officer Martinez looked at Mrs. Richardson with evident disgust. And do you have the courage to accuse this woman with theft? But Sophia had kept the best for the end. Officers, would you like to know where the diamond necklace is? All eyes turned to her. With deliberate movements, Sophia walked to the room bar and took the Scottish whiskey bottle of $1,000 that Mr. Richardson was so much valued. Inside it, perfectly visible through amber glass, was the stolen necklace. Funny thing, said Sophia, her voice loaded with a sharp irony. When you hide your own jewelry to incriminate an employee, you better make sure she didn't see you doing it by reflecting the corridor mirror. Mrs. Richardson collapsed in the armchair, finally understanding the magnitude of what had happened. Not only had he lost his marriage when he discovered her husband's crimes, but he had also exposed himself as a person willing to destroy an innocent to cover up his own financial problems. Sophia looked at the two human wreckage in front of her and felt not angry, but a deep sadness. You had everything: money, social position, respect. But it wasn't enough. You needed more, even if you cost the freedom and dignity of others. When the FBI sirens echoed through the elegant neighborhood, Sophia knew that her true revenge was just beginning. Because a woman who can document federal crimes for 3 years of homework is not just a survivor, it is a force of nature that no one should underestimate. And the Richardson were about to find that the worst was yet to come. The FBI agents arrived with a speed that surprised even Sophia. In less than an hour, the Richardson mansion was full of federal investigators, experts, and agents specializing in financial crimes, which began as a simple accusation of theft, had become an operation against money laundering and international trafficking. Special Agent Torres introduced herself to the team leader, a certain woman of 40 years. Mrs. Morales, we understand that she has valuable information about criminal activities in this residence. Sophia nodded, delivering a second folder that had kept hidden 3 years of full documentation, photos, recordings, suspicious movement records, and a detailed list of all participants in the operation. Mr. Richardson tried to intervene with his usual arrogance. Agent, this woman is a criminal. She has stolen our property and is now inventing stories to get rid of guilt. Agent Torres smiled coldly. Mr. Richardson, I suggest that he remain silent. Everything he says can and will be used against the Lord. It was then that Sophia revealed the most devastating blow of all. Agent Torres, Mr. Richardson keeps a secret safe behind Van Gogh's painting in the office. There are fake contracts, offshore accounts, and Angola's smuggled diamonds. Mr. Richardson's face became a pure terror mask. This is impossible. No one knows that safe. No one except the woman who has cleansed her office for 3 years. Sophia responded with cold calm. The woman you treated as a furniture. The woman who listened to her telephone conversations at 3 in the morning because you thought she didn't understand English. As the agents found exactly what Sophia had described, Mrs. Richardson finally exploded. Harold, you told me that the money came from legitimate investments. You told me we were respectable. Margaret, I can explain, stammered her husband, but his wife interrupted him with fury. Explain? Explain how has our family transformed into a criminal organization? How did you make me an accomplice of blood diamond trafficking? She turned to Sophia with tears in her eyes. And I accused you on theft when my own husband is an international criminal. Sophia observed the collapse of that couple with a mixture of sadness and satisfaction. Mrs. Richardson, for 3 years I heard you talk about people like me. Now you have found that really dangerous people slept in the same bed as you. Agent Torres returned from the office with a box full of evidence. Mr. Richardson is arrested for money laundering, fiscal dropout, international smuggling, and criminal association. Mrs. Richardson will also need to come with us for interrogation. It was at this moment that Sophia performed her final and more elegant revenge. Agent Torres, there is one more thing. She withdrew a sealed envelope from her bag. For 2 years, Mr. Richardson received bribes of $50,000 monthly from the Mexican cartel of Los Hermanos. Transfers were made through the Art World Imports facade company. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of the handcuffs being placed on Harold Richardson's wrists. Sophia had transformed not only her own humiliation and justice, but had dismantled an international criminal network that had been operating for over a decade. How did a simple domestic get all this? He whispered Mrs. Richardson, being escorted by the agents. Sophia smiled for the last time on that house. Because you made the mistake of underestimating a woman who lost everything once and swore that she would never be the victim of anyone again. When the FBI vehicles finally departed with the Richardson, Sophia remained at the entrance of the mansion she had cleaned for 3 years. On his phone, a message from daughter Isabella. Mom, got the money for my ticket? Looking at the $200,000 reward check that he had just received from the FBI for collaborating with justice, Sophia typed his answer. I got so much more than that, my princess. I got our freedom. The sweeter revenge had not just been to destroy who tried to destroy it. It had been to build a new life on the rubble of the arrogance of those who underestimated it. 6 months later, Sophia Morales was standing in the federal court, no longer as a witness but as the main collaborator of justice in the case that had become known as Diamond Operation. The same corridor where he was once escorted as suspected theft now received her as a national heroine. Mrs. Morales, said Federal Judge Stevens, thanks to his investigative work and exceptional courage, we were able to dismantle a money laundering network that moved more than $50 million per year. Sophia held the hand of Isabella, her 12-year-old daughter who had finally arrived from Mexico. The girl looked admired at her mother who had become an invisible domestic, a symbol of justice. Harold Richardson received a sentence of 25 years in prison. Margaret Richardson, a declared culprit of complicity, was sentenced to 12 years. His assets were confiscated, including the mansion that Sophia knew better than his own owners. Mom, whispered Isabella in Spanish, did you really live in that huge house? Sophia smiled, remembering the first time she stepped on that hall's cold marble. I lived, but I never felt at home there. Now yes. Sophia's new house was only 5 blocks from the former Richardson mansion, but in a completely different world. Purchased with the money from the reward and the witness protection program, it was modest but full of light, something that the Richardson mansion never had despite all its luxury. The Special Agent Torres visited regularly, not only for case updates, but because he had developed a genuine respect for Sophia. You saved lives, you know, he said during one of these visits. The money the Richardson washed gunfall in Central America. Maybe how many deaths did you stop? Sophia had used part of the money to open a legal support center for immigrants, offering free translation and legal advice. No one else will go through what I went through without knowing their rights, she stated at the inauguration. The sweetest irony came when the Richardson mansion was auctioned. Sophia didn't buy it. She chose something better. The property was transformed into a shelter for women immigrants victims of domestic violence, funded by the foundation that Sophia had created. Margaret Richardson, in one of the rare letters he managed to send from prison, wrote, Sophia, I didn't expect your forgiveness, but I need to know that I finally understand what real respect is. Sophia never responded to the letter. Some lessons are learned too late. During the trial, it was found that the stolen necklace didn't even exist. It was a piece of bejewelry that Margaret had bought to stage the whole situation. The real plan was to create a precedent to dismiss all immigrant employees and hire a cleaning company that did not ask questions about family activities. Isabella quickly adapted to American life, but never forgot her mother's lesson. The difference between being a victim and being a survivor, Sophia told you, is deciding if you will let you define you or if you will define yourself. Sophia's most elegant revenge was discovered months after the trial. Using her new status as FBI consultant, she had gotten the Richardson case documents to be used as a study material at law universities across the country. The name Margaret Richardson had become synonymous with arrogance and prejudice in classrooms, while Sophia Morales was cited as an example of courage and strategic intelligence. Today, Sophia Morales is FBI consultant for cases involving white-collar crimes in immigrant communities. His work has already resulted in the arrest of dozens of criminals who exploited the vulnerability of people without documentation. When asked about her homework transformation to a researcher, Sophia always replies, I've never been home, but now I clean dirt that are much larger and more dangerous than dust in expensive furniture. During a viral televised interview, Sophia revealed the secret of her perfect revenge. Mrs. Richardson said people like me do not know respect. Today, her name is used in ethics classes as an example of never doing. Meanwhile, immigrant children study my story as proof that it is possible to overcome injustice with intelligence. The television program ended with Sophia receiving a tribute from the governor. Isabella, now an exemplary student fluent in 3 languages, was proud of the audience. The best revenge was not to destroy who tried to destroy it, but to build something so powerful that it transformed its greatest humiliation into the foundation of a new life. Sophia proved that underestimating someone for their origin is the most expensive error a person can make. 3 years after the beginning of this story, the former invisible domestic had become one of the most respected women in the country. And the Richardson? Well, they found that the true price of arrogance is to be forgotten by the story, while those you despise become legend. Have you already underestimated someone for the appearance or social position? Leave in the comments if you know any similar story. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove that justice, when well planned, always finds its way, and that sometimes karma only needs a little help from those who refuse to be a victim.